Welcome back, everybody. Ready for another deep dive?
Always.
Awesome. So, today we're taking a trip back to the early 2000s.
Ooh, early 2000s. Flip phones,
Yep.
low-rise jeans.
Exactly. And of course, the Disney Channel. Remember those days?
Oh, yeah, totally.
Well, get ready for a serious dose of nostalgia because we're diving into the world of Stuck in the Suburbs.
Stuck in the Suburbs now, that's a classic.
Right. On the surface, it seems like your typical Disney Channel movie. A little lighthearted, a little cheesy.
Maybe even a little predictable.
But trust me, there's a lot more to this movie than meets the eye.
Oh, I agree. It's actually pretty clever how it uses this, silly premise, the whole phone swap thing, to explore some really interesting themes.
Exactly. So for anyone who hasn't seen it or maybe just needs a quick refresher, Stuck in the Suburbs follows Brittany Aarons. She's like your typical teenager.
A little bored, a little restless.
Totally. Feels stuck in her suburban life, hence the title.
Makes sense.
And then, through a series of very Disney Channel events, she ends up switching phones with her idol.
Jordan Cahill, the mega pop star.
Yep. And that's when things get interesting.
Because it's not just about the phone swap, right?
Mhm. The real journey is Brittany's. Like, she starts out with this totally idealized view of Jordan. This fantasy of what his life must be like, all glamour and excitement.
Oh, yeah, I totally get that. It's that whole idea of, someone who seems to have it all figured out, represents everything you want but don't have.
Right. And it's something I think we can all relate to a certain extent. I mean, haven't we all had those moments where we get a little starstruck?
Oh, absolutely. Whether it's a musician, an actor, or even just that friend who always seems to be living their best life, it's easy to get caught up in that fantasy.
Especially when you're a teenager and still figuring things out, right?
Totally. And that's what the film captures so well, that teenage yearning for something more, that desire to escape the ordinary. For Brittany, Jordan represents that escape.
He's everything her suburban life isn't.
Exactly. But what's so interesting is how the movie uses that classic fangirl fantasy, to set up a much deeper exploration of identity.
And the pitfalls of idolization.
Or for sure.
Yeah.
Because, of course, things aren't always what they seem.
Right. As Brittany gets this glimpse behind the curtain of Jordan's life, that fantasy starts to crumble.
Like she realizes being a pop star isn't all it's cracked up to be.
Not even close.
Jordan is actually struggling. He's trapped by his own fame.
Totally. There's all this pressure to maintain this image, this manufactured persona that's been created for him.
It's actually pretty sad when you think about it.
Yeah, and if you really think about it, it's a pretty powerful commentary on how celebrities are often commodified.
Like they're not even in control of their own music.
Seriously, remember that scene where Brittany sees Jordan's managers basically scripting his every move?
Oh, yeah?
It's kind of unsettling, isn't it?
It is. It makes you realize how easy it is to lose sight of someone's humanity when they're just presented to you as this perfectly packaged image.
Exactly. And I think that's a really important point the film is making. Like, we as fans have a responsibility to see beyond the surface.
To recognize that the people we admire are just as complex and flawed as anyone else.
Totally. We can't just buy into the hype. We got to remember they're real people.
Exactly.
But you know what I find really interesting is that the film doesn't just leave us with this feeling of disillusionment.
It doesn't.
No, it actually shows how fandom can be a force for good.
Oh, that's cool. So it's not all doom and gloom.
Not at all. It shows how Brittany, through her interactions with Jordan, actually helps him reconnect with his authentic self.
Oh, that's sweet.
Right, and he rediscovers his passion for music. It's a really cool twist.
So it's like fandom can be a two-way street.
Exactly. It's not just about blindly adoring someone. It's about, recognizing their humanity, encouraging them to be true to themselves.
And maybe even inspiring them in return.
I like that. Inspiring them in return.
It's like a more nuanced perspective on the whole power and responsibility that comes with being a fan.
Exactly. And speaking of responsibility, I think it's important to highlight the role of Brittany's best friend, Taryn. She's kind of the voice of reason throughout the whole movie.
Oh, yeah, Taryn. She's awesome. Always keeping Brittany grounded.
Exactly. She's constantly reminding Brittany of who she is and what truly matters.
It's like she represents those real-life connections that help us stay grounded.
Totally. Even when we're tempted to lose ourselves in fantasy.
Which is so important, especially when you're a teenager and trying to figure out your place in the world.
Absolutely. So we've talked about Brittany's journey, going from this fangirl fantasy to a more grounded understanding of fame and the importance of authenticity.
Right.
But what I find really fascinating is how her experience in Stuck in the Suburbs kind of mirrors this much larger conversation about how fandom can actually shape our own identities, like who we become.
Oh, interesting. So it's not just about Brittany and Jordan.
No, it's about all of us. It's about how the things we're passionate about can actually help us figure out who we are.
Wow. I never thought of it that way. You've got me thinking now.
That's the goal.
Yeah, that's true. We often think of fandom as like, just a fun, lighthearted thing,
Mm.
a way to connect with others who share our interests.
Right, right.
But it can be so much more than that.
Absolutely. I mean, think about it. The things we're passionate about, whether it's a band, a book series, a sports team, or even a particular celebrity, they often speak to something deeper within us.
Oh, totally. That's like they reflect our values.
Our aspirations, even our sense of who we are and who we want to be.
It's like those interests become this mirror,
Yeah.
reflecting back to us parts of ourselves that we might not even be fully aware of.
That's a great way to put it. And for Brittany, her fandom for Jordan Cahill, it becomes this catalyst for self-discovery.
So through her interactions with him, she starts to understand what she truly values.
Exactly. Like authenticity, genuine connection, and the freedom to express herself.
Which are all like really important things to figure out, especially when you're a teenager.
Totally.
Wow.
And it's not just Brittany. Think about all the fans out there who find this sense of belonging and community through shared passions.
Oh, yeah. Fandom can definitely be a place where people feel seen and understood.
Especially for those who might feel like outsiders in other areas of their lives.
Right. It's like finding your tribe.
Yeah.
And that can be so powerful.
Absolutely. Especially for teenagers who are, already going through so much.
So much change.
Yeah.
Trying to figure out where they fit in.
Exactly. And what's interesting? Stuck in the Suburbs, it doesn't shy away from the potential downsides of fandom either.
Oh, it doesn't.
Nope. Like, remember how it touches on the idea of parasocial relationships?
Parasocial relationships.
Yeah.
Where fans develop these, like, intense one-sided attachments to celebrities.
Yeah. Often blurring the lines between fantasy and reality.
Right, right.
Which is why those grounding forces, like Brittany's friendship with Taryn, are so important.
Taryn's the best.
I know. She's always there to remind Brittany that real-life connections, those based on mutual respect and understanding, they're ultimately more fulfilling.
Yeah. More sustainable than, those idealized connections we might form with people we idolize.
Exactly. And it's not just about staying grounded. It's also about recognizing the humanity of those we admire.
Recognizing their humanity.
Okay. Like, the film kind of subtly critiques the way celebrities are often commodified.
Commodified?
Yeah, like turned into products to be consumed, which can lead to fans losing sight of the fact that these are real people.
Yeah.
With their own complexities, their own vulnerabilities.
Right, with their own lives and stuff.
Exactly. And it's easy to forget that, especially in today's world where we're like constantly bombarded with images and information about celebrities.
It's true. It's everywhere.
And Stuck in the Suburbs, even though it's, a Disney Channel movie, it actually does a pretty good job of prompting us to think critically about those dynamics.
Yeah, it does.
It encourages us to be more mindful fans, to engage with our passions in a way that's both fulfilling and responsible.
So to be more conscious.
Exactly. Like to ask ourselves, what am I getting out of this? How is it shaping my values, my understanding of the world? Am I engaging with this in a way that respects the humanity of those involved?
Ooh, those are some deep questions.
I know, right? It really makes you think.
Yeah, it does. It really shows you that Stuck in the Suburbs, despite it being this seemingly lighthearted movie, it actually offers some pretty profound insights into the nature of fandom and its impact on our lives.
I totally agree. It's like a testament to the power of storytelling, how even a movie aimed at a younger audience can spark these really important conversations.
That's true.
As we're talking about this, it's making me think about my own experiences with fandom. Growing up, I was absolutely obsessed with this one fantasy book series.
Oh, really? That's cool. What was it about that series that really captivated you?
Honestly, it was like stepping into another world. I was just completely absorbed. The characters, the plot, the whole universe the author had created. It was amazing.
I love that.
Looking back, I think it was more than just escapism, It was about finding a sense of belonging, of connecting with something that felt meaningful, exciting.
Yeah, totally. Did that experience, shape you in any lasting ways?
Oh, definitely. I think it played a huge role in developing my love for storytelling, for, immersing myself in different worlds and perspectives. And it definitely sparked my lifelong fascination with fantasy and science fiction.
That's amazing. It just goes to show how Those early experiences with fandom can have such a profound and lasting impact on us.
It really does. And I bet a lot of our listeners have similar stories, right?
Probably. Everyone's got something they're passionate about.
Exactly. So before we wrap things up, I kind of want to turn it over to you, the listener.
Oh, yes. Let's bring it back to you.
So we've been talking about Stuck in the Suburbs and how it explores, these themes of fandom and identity.
Right, and how those ideas kind of resonate in our own lives, too.
Exactly. So we want to hear from you. What are you a fan of? And how has that fandom, that passion, shaped who you are?
Yeah. Think about it. Maybe it's a band.
Huh.
A favorite band whose music, helped you through a tough time.
Or a book series that just sparked a lifelong love of reading. Or, maybe it's a sports team.
Ooh, yeah, sports team, whose victories bring you joy. Or a celebrity whose work just inspires you.
To be a better version of yourself.
Right. Or maybe it's something a little less traditional, like a particular hobby or even a specific historical period.
Whatever it is, we want you to think about it. How has that passion influenced your life?
Has it introduced you to new people, new communities? Has it sparked a new interest or a hobby?
Has it shaped your values or your worldview in any way?
Maybe even nudged you towards a certain career path.
I bet if we all really took a minute to think about it, we'd be amazed by how much our fandoms have shaped who we are.
Yeah, because it's more than just entertainment, right? It's about connecting with something bigger than ourselves, something that resonates with our deepest passions.
And those connections, those can be incredibly powerful. They can inspire us, motivate us, even help us find our place in the world.
But as Stuck in the Suburbs reminds us, it's also important to approach fandom with a sense of awareness, responsibility.
To remember that the people we admire, even those who seem, larger than life,
They're still human beings.
with their own lives, their own struggles.
Exactly. And remember that while fandom can be amazing, it can bring us so much joy and connection and even a sense of purpose, it shouldn't consume us.
Or define our entire identity.
The key is finding that balance, right? Allowing ourselves to get swept up in the excitement,
Yeah.
the passion, but also staying grounded
And nurturing those real-life connections that are so important.
to our well-being.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into Stuck in the Suburbs, we leave you with this thought. Keep exploring your passions. Keep connecting with those who share your interests.
But remember to approach your fandom, with a critical eye, a sense of responsibility.
And most importantly, a whole lot of heart.
Ah, I love that. A whole lot of heart.
Thanks for joining us on this trip back to the suburbs.
It's been fun.
Until next time, keep diving deep.